Hello. I want to thank everyone for their patience while waiting for this interview, but mostly I want to thank Bishop Tony Caldwell for not only being here tonight, but also for his patience. It was audio issues on Hidden True Crimes part that made us a little bit late tonight. But nonetheless, we'll continue on. Bishop, thank you so much for being here on this Saturday night. I've been wanting to interview you for a week. A week ago, Hidden True Crime started reporting on a woman who escaped from Timothy Haslett Jr.'s house in Excelsior Springs, Missouri. And
Yes.
that day, I interviewed a neighbor who saw that she came out of the house she had a dog collar on that was restricting her breathing, handcuffs. She was wearing a trash bag, latex. She was tortured. We learned that she was a Black woman that was picked up on a Prospect Avenue area in Kansas City. And this was shown to me on Saturday, Bishop, a video
Yes.
that you shared on social media. Was it, I don't know
Yes.
where on social media was it TikTok? And you were saying that there was a serial killer that was targeting Black women on Prospect Avenue. And
Yes.
that was a couple of weeks before this woman escaped. She stated to the neighbor, and we have this in our interview that we did, that her friends did not make it, that her friends were murdered. That comes from the neighbor that helped rescue her. Police say that so far there is only one victim and that they're still investigating. But I really do want to bring attention to what you said as we are learning more about Timothy Haslett Jr. and his record and who he is. He is behind bars, charged with kidnapping and raping this woman that escaped from his home. And you said 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, there is a serial killer targeting Black women. And then most importantly, you were dismissed before we found this woman being held hostage. What you said was dismissed by Kansas City police and by the Kansas City Star. Is that correct? Correct me if I'm...
Yes. Yes. And the media.
And the media.
Yes.
And the
You
media.
are totally correct. And it hurts my heart. And it's not for me. It's for those young ladies that did make it out. The young lady that had to continue to endure that, if they would have listened when we first said something about it, I'm in my heart, I'm just thinking she wouldn't have to endure that long. But if she would have never escaped, she would have ended up like her friends, and no one would have ever knew. They would have just kept saying, "No, there's no one out here snatching women. No, there's no one out here killing women. No, there's no one out here raping women," and it would have just went dismissed, literally.
Right. And this is something that you've seen happen over and over again in your community too, right? That you are dismissed and your community is dismissed. Is that something you've been seeing?
Yes, it is. And matter of fact, let's take Prospect by itself. There has been so many women that have been abused on Prospect, from the Prospect area, from the inner city area, that go just like it's nothing. They don't recognize them. They don't believe them. It gets swept underneath the rug. And this it's just crazy. It's just crazy. The way that it's almost like, here it is again. We don't exist. We don't exist. And I guarantee you this young lady, all the stuff that she had to endure, within the next 30 days, they won't even be talking about her anymore. That hurts my heart. And it'll be back to business as usual. It'll be back to who cares. It'll be back to, well, whatever happens on Prospect, that's just it. Whatever happens on Independence Avenue, Who cares? But these are lies. I don't care what they've done. If you look at, we used to have this thing where before we knew who Terry Blair was, they called him the Prospect Corridor Killer.
Yeah, tell us about him. I was going to bring him up. Tell us about him.
He preyed on women on Prospect. And for a long time, they kept saying, no, he wasn't. No, he's not a serial killer. But because they kept saying no, because of the young ladies were in a certain area, it just got swept underneath the rug. Again, we ran across the first body that were the first victim, let me put it that way, as we were doing a neighborhood cleanup from the Prospect Corridor Killer. And we ran across several. During that time point, we were doing cleanups. And at the first one, they just dismissed. The second one, they said, well, it was just because of someone got caught out in the elements. It wasn't until the fourth one that they finally started to recognize we have a problem. Why did it have to take 4 young ladies to lose their life?
And this was in the 1980s, is that correct?
Yes.
And you were warning them then, decades ago. This is like deja vu. This is the same thing happening over and over
all
again.
over again. Not only then, then we had Bordella here in Kansas City again. He did the same exact thing. He preyed upon people up and down that same area and off of Independence Avenue, because he knew if anyone goes to the authorities, it would be dismissed. We had a lady go in and ask about her child being missing, her daughter being missing. And they asked her, they told her, do you even have a kid? I mean, they didn't believe she even had a child.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
And I want to explain this. People are asking, this woman that was held hostage and let's say tortured and kidnapped, and she was not a reported missing person. In the one way that they were attempting to debunk what you were saying was saying, well, there's no reports of missing people. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I want to explain, it's not so easy to report a missing adult. It's not as easy as people think that is. This was not a missing person. So I just want to make that clear too. Just because there isn't a missing, just because there's not a missing persons report doesn't mean that there aren't missing women.
You said something that was very profound. It is difficult to report a missing person. The first thing you do is once you go in and they semi-believe you, you have to wait 48 hours. 48 hours is a long time for a loved one to be missing. And then you have to come back. Most people lose hope. Most people are discouraged at that time point. So they don't go back. And then sometimes when you go back, if you ever went into a police station to make any type of report, the desk person or the officer that comes in to take the report, they listen to you. And then they tell you, okay, thank you. We'll add it to our report for that day. And most times you leave out of there without a case number. They write all this down from memory. And half of the things get misconstrued over memory. That officer does not write it down right then and there. And if they do, if you look at some of their notes, they can barely read their own notes. So a date of birth, the misspelling of a name, just something as simple as that could be the report was never made, and knowing that it was.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Bishop, I want to say that the one outlet that did listen to you, that reposted your video, was the Kansas City Defender. The Kansas City Defender editor and I have talked. They are continuing to report on this. They are listening to you, as is Hidden True Crime. And I want to recommend people head to the Kansas City Defender to see their latest. They've discovered that Timothy Haslett believed that there was a race war, that they have found old social media posts of his that are quite racist. And I want to say that we're all investigating, and I'm not making any final statements here. We don't know about other victims, but this is what I want to repeat again to everyone. We know that the victim came out and stated her friends didn't make it. We know that before this happened, the Bishop Caldwell said there was a serial killer that was targeting Black women in the Prospect Avenue area. We know from the probable cause statement that this woman was taken from Prospect Avenue. We know from the probable cause statement that she was tortured, pretty much. I'm going to say tortured. The probable cause doesn't say tortured. That's my word. I'm going to say that she was afraid Timothy Haslett was going to kill her. And we know that he built a room in his basement to keep her. We know that they're still investigating. They've boarded his home up. We know that, and we know that your reports were dismissed, and we know that in the 80s, this also happened. So I just want to say this is what we know so far. I'm not drawing any final conclusions, but those are the facts. And Bishop Caldwell, I want you to know that we're listening to you. And you have a voice here, and we are listening and paying attention.
Well, I wish that the police would have listened back then, and some of the other news outlets would have listened. Because even with that being said, how many other young ladies have to suffer because we won't pay attention? How many other people have to suffer because we won't pay attention? They're not second-class citizens. And if you look at how he treated her, he put a collar, a steel metal collar with a padlock around her neck. Every time I think about that, it takes me back to thinking about slavery, how slaves were treated in that same exact fashion, sold from one to the other, and not even treated as human beings. He didn't treat her like a human. He didn't treat those other ladies like a human. She said her friends did not make it out. She didn't say her friend won. She said her friends did not make it out.
She did. And Hidden True Crime has that encounter. Sierra Tharp, we interviewed her Saturday, the day after the woman escaped. And this woman is a hero too. She escaped. I want to say that too. This woman escaped. She saved herself. Sierra Tharp's grandmother took her in. And she did state that everything else Sierra Tharp told us on our channel was in the probable cause. So I just want to say that the Sierra Tharp report to us was accurate. And she did say that. Sierra Tharp told us that on our channel, that she said, my friends didn't make it. My friends were murdered. That's what Sierra Tharp tells us. So right, what you're saying is accurate. And going back to what you said too, I also want to say that she was whipped. She was whipped. Yes. She had injuries consistent with her being whipped.
I'm going to say this, and I may be out here on a limb, but I'm sitting here thinking, after all that she endured, I'm believing that he psychologically tortured her also, telling her that no one's going to come looking for you. No one's ever going to find you. You know, and if you run away, I'm going to kill you and them. You know, and that's what she made a statement about. And I'm sitting there thinking, as they dismissed what I was saying, I'm believing in my mind he took that to even do more to her, you know, and let her know, hey, look, here's a news clip of they're not looking for you. They don't believe that you're missing. They don't believe that I have you or you're ever going to get away. I'm sitting there thinking about her, and the hope leave her mind of ever getting out of there behind being dismissed. and knowing that she had to act on her own because no one was coming for her. You know, just that by itself will kill someone's spirit to ever get out. This young lady is a hero. This young lady endured things that we would never fathom, and she got out. When others didn't, she got out. And we're starting to learn that this is not his first time. Things of this nature have been going on for a while. There's a child that was in that house. That is terrifying to me. Did the child see this? Did the child know about it? Did the child think this was normal? You know, why did the wife divorce him? Did she know? She knew that he had this type of behavior. It's just too many red flags that went unnoticed.
I agree. Thank you. Blue Sky is asking if you might be able to share how you knew about the missing women that they're claiming didn't exist, which we found one of them. Is it from being in the area? You are a community leader, and you can tell us a little bit about your church. Can you share how you heard word of missing women?
We always work missing people's cases all the time. You know, teen runaways, things of that nature. And because of that, a gentleman came in when his daughter went missing, and he got no response from the police department. He got no response from a lot of other community leaders. So he sought us out for help. He was passing out flyers, knocking on doors, and he was coming to his end of, I don't know who to turn to when he was, when we were recommended to him, the Justice and Dignity Center, for help. As we were looking for his child, knocking doors, interviewing people, we started hearing about, no, we haven't seen her, but we heard about this other young lady missing. And it just kept snowballing. As we're looking for one, we're starting to hear about other people missing, other young ladies missing in the same area about the same time. And then we're hearing about ones being found dead that never got reported, you know, to authorities. Or should I say the authorities never said anything about it. A store owner came up and just told us point blank as we were passing out the flyers. He said, I know of two women that were found near my gas station within the last 2 weeks. Never made the news. Wow. Never made the news. One was found in a field, never made the news.
One was found in a field.
One was found in a vacant lot, kind of a field, and that never made the news. Never, just got dismissed.
Wow.
There's a lot of time points they'll dismiss them as, well, it's just a homeless person that passed away. You know, it's too many areas that they look at to shape the truth or to escape the truth and not look at it. So they come up with excuses. Well, no one's reported them missing, but the parents are saying they're missing. That's enough. You know, you don't have to report me missing, but if I am being reported missing, come look for me. Yes. When was the last time point that you even hear about authorities going looking for someone missing? I have not heard of a search party. It might be a small kid not in the inner city that they will look for. But even a small child on the inner city, they won't look for. Precious Doe, one of the biggest cases here in Kansas City, the community had to come together and go looking for that child. The community did that. Not the police department, but the community.
Wow. And somebody is asking if you are the one that had the viral TikTok video. Yes, this is the man, Bishop Caldwell. And he was dismissed, not by people on TikTok, by Kansas City police, by Kansas City Star, a newspaper. And and we hear all the time, and I want to share this. We hear all the time that it's missing white women that make the news, the missing Black women, missing women of color or people of color do not. And I want to say that that is true. And I want you to share anything you can tell us to help this very sad statistic. And I think your video and how you're dismissed, I think, is an important example of this. And I want our channel to be able to listen and to understand it and let us know how we can help and be more aware.
We had a community meeting every Monday at the Justice Center at 6:00. We have a community meeting with all the community leaders and the grassroots organizations come together, and we share information. And we try to get some of that information over to the police department that they might need. One of the things that came up in last week's meeting was, where are all the homeless? If you notice, it used to be quite a bit of them throughout the city, in the inner city. We don't see them anymore. Where did they go? What has happened to them? Just like these young ladies, they used to be everywhere. Where did they go? It's almost like they're just being literally taken away and done something to. And in this case, we found out it to be true. You know, no one wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be homeless. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be kidnapped. No one wakes up in the morning and says, I want to be tortured. No one wakes up in the morning and say, I want to be murdered. But these things are happening on the inner city, and they're just being dismissed left and right. And anytime that we speak about them, I was told that I should be quiet because I can't say certain things because it is football season and it will affect the tourism if we say certain things.
Wow.
When did a life become less important than the bottom line of finances? But then I started looking around how the homeless are being pushed out of Kansas City, how their camps are being torn down, how homeless is being criminalized. So I'm starting to understand this now more and more and more, not just in this young lady's case, but how they prey on a certain ethnic group to remove them out of, or let them be removed. I was also told that, we're on the track for the World's Cup, and no one's going to come near a city with a serial killer. You know how much revenue is going to be lost?
Wow. So that's more important. Money is more important than women in your community being killed and murdered and tortured and kidnapped and raped and abused.
It just, I can't imagine what she went through over someone wanting to cover it up. Literally, that's what it is. Cover it up to make profits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And allow a racist to run rapid to do their dirty work.
Police, are police still dismissing your claims now?
What it is now is she might have been kidnapped, but it hasn't been verified yet if there was anyone else in the house. So he's still not a serial killer. He's just a kidnapper. And we haven't, they have not apologized. And I'm not looking for an apology. I'm not looking for no type of apology. I'm looking for some action to fix the problem. You can call me whatever you want to call me, but we still have missing young ladies out there. What happened to her friends? Even if you don't find bodies or remains on the premises, think about it. Most serial killers do not keep the remains on the premises. They transport them somewhere else.
Right. And we know that he flew drones. We know we learned that from a neighbor, and we know that he had a tow truck there several times, and he worked on old cars.
Mm-hmm.
We know he didn't work. He had plenty of time.
He had burrows, a blue burrow out back that the dogs hit on, but they didn't find remains in it. But the cadaver dogs hit on the burrows as an indicator. So that lets me know, okay, he used them to transport. The remains aren't still in there, but he used them to transport the remains somewhere else. There was clothes found, other women's clothes found on the premises. If you find a bunch of other women's clothes, where are the women that those belong to?
Right.
I mean,
when do you, Blue Sky is asking, when do you believe this started? It was September is when you reported. Was this the summer? Has it been going on for a long time?
From the information that is coming in to us from different people in the streets, it goes back at least 6-7 months, at least. From those that are in the streets that are reporting missing young ladies still, the same description of the guy up and down the neighborhood, up and down Prospect. They had a description of him, and that's what we were looking for.
Really?
At that time point. And we thought he was local.
They had a description of Tim Haslett?
Yes. The community had a description of him, scruffy, white guy, beard, hair all over his head. That was the description that we had back then. And, that sticks out in this neighborhood. It sticks out. Especially if you stay too long. You're cruising up and down Prospect over and over again. People are going to see that. And he wasn't buying drugs.
Wow.
So they
the description of Timothy Haslett was pointed out by those in your community.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. How many women do you feel are missing at this moment, or do you have a number?
We have a number of 8 right now that we know of that are missing. And people are still coming forward even more. They're hesitant because of the way that things happen with me. They're hesitant about the way that they've been treated when they go into the police station. If you're being treated like you have no kid, or it's not a friendly environment, and I understand you have to ask some tough questions, when you're looking for someone or gather information for the report. But it's how you ask the question, that sensitivity that matters. That's just like a lady in a rape case. You don't say, hey, well, you got in the car, I guess. You knew something was going to happen. You don't blame the victim over again. You don't re-traumatize them. But that is what's going on.
Yeah.
And you wonder why people don't come forward.
Right. We, of course, don't want you to identify the victim in any way, but by chance, do you know of someone that knows her or any update on how she's doing? Or do you know who she is?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, we do.
And of course, please don't identify her in any way, but Can I ask if she has, if she's surrounded by loved ones or if she's safe?
She's safe. She's getting some type of treatment now. Uh, it's going to be a long, long battle.
Yeah, I want to share that while authorities were able to tell us in the probable cause that she would recover physically, of course, that doesn't mean emotionally. And we're hidden true crime here. My husband is a forensic psychologist, and what we talk about are emotional scars here often. And so, of course, we can't imagine. But all our love to her and hope and prayers for healing for many of us here at Hidden True Crime in our community. So, yeah.
I know the family appreciates that, and she does too.
Okay. Thank you. Bishop, I want to reiterate again, the Kansas City Defender did repost your video. People are asking us to post it. I did try to play it here, and we were having so many technical issues. I decided to not risk it. But I will try. I will make a post to that, and I want everyone to know, though, I did share in Hidden True Crimes Facebook and Instagram a link to the Kansas City Defenders Instagram page where they have posted Bishop Caldwell's video that was dismissed. That was, you posted it 2 weeks before this woman escaped and saved herself and Timothy Haslett's arrest. We, of course, are all still waiting for police to tell us more, authorities to tell us more. And for that reason, Bishop, we're also very grateful that you could come forward and share what you know. You seem to have understood more than anyone before she was rescued, or before she rescued herself, before she escaped and got the help. What else would you like to say tonight? And I hope this isn't our last interview. We want to be in touch with you here at Hidden True Crime as we follow the story. But what else would you like to share tonight?
There are still young ladies and young men missing. If the families are out there, understand we're not going to give up until you get answers. We're not going to shut up. We're not going to turn around. We're not going to back down. No matter how many times they dismiss us, we're going to keep coming back, because these are lives and their lives matter. I don't care what they did in their past, does not deserve how they're treated. No one does. No means no. You know, we're not giving up. We're going to be here for the community no matter what. We're going to be here for the parents no matter what. We've been out here for over 38 years. We're not stopping yet. And we're not going to, until every child, every baby, every young lady, every young man comes home. We're actually gearing up even more right now to do something, even a prayer vigil and a vigil for those that are missing tomorrow. We're going to do something tomorrow for them. We're also going to do another big search. I don't know if people knew that a year ago we did what we call the big search. There was 38 young ladies that was missing, 38 kids that was missing. And out of the 38 kids that was missing, we were able to find 13 of them. This is what we do all the time. We knock doors. We go to places that folks won't go to, into the trap houses, into the drug houses, to make sure that they're okay and make sure they get out. It's not a game, because I will wish somebody would go looking for my child or my grandkids if they came up missing.
Thank you. I want you to know, as you continue your mission in not giving up and in helping these families, Hidden True Crime is listening to you, and we are willing to help spread the word or report anything that you might need. So please be in touch with us, and we'll do anything we can to help you.
Thank you.
And we're
And
listening.
I want to thank you for having me. I want to thank the KC Defenders. Those young men were ridiculed, put down, talked about, scorned for speaking the truth when it wasn't popular. And I want to thank them for standing their ground to make sure that others heard it. And again, I thank you for standing your ground to get it out there, to make sure that the truth is heard.
Thank you, Bishop. And yes, I want to say that too. Thank you to the Kansas City Defender. They were ridiculed as well for reposting your video and stating that people should listen to you. So thank you to both you and the Kansas City Defender. Thank you. Thank you for your work, Bishop, and thank you for spending this night with us. And we will stay in touch. We'll be in touch.
God bless.
God bless. Thank you.